everyone, welcome back. My name is Hannah. This is Alignments Principles Yoga. And today we're going to be going over in a short 15-minute class how to get in and out of headstands comfortably, safely, and with some confidence. I've been teaching arm balances and inversions for a while. We do workshops. There are some online YouTube classes where we do a full hour-long class, warm the body up, get it ready, learn all of the strength and conditioning to eventually get to that. We have a lot of people who have questions in the non-workshop classes on actually workshopping the headstand portion, how to get into it, and having a good amount of time to play with that headstand. So today we're going to go over a few different things. We're going to go over in general the essence of a balance, right? What are the three parts of a balance? No matter if you're standing upright, doing an arm balance or an inversion, what are those three key features that you need to make sure you have a successful experience? We're also going to play around with some different ways to get in and out of the pose depending on your confidence and comfortability level, right? Not all of us are comfortable with popping right up into a headstand into an open space just yet. Some of us have fears of falling backwards and hurting ourselves. Some of us aren't quite ready to move away from the wall. Some of us aren't even ready to take both feet off, right? So there's a couple different ways we're going to go through class today to kind of conquer those fears. Stop wherever your level is at and spend today's class and time working on that part, right? Maybe you're just practicing how to fall out of a headstand today, right? You can come back to this class when you're ready to start kicking those legs up and holding that balance. Or maybe you're pretty confident with your headstand, but you want to work on those key features of a balance so that you can hold that headstand longer and more comfortably, how to stack yourself, take pressure off the neck, so on and so forth. So, to start, a good rule of thumb, if you are someone whose fear is falling out of a headstand, right? There's really two ways to fall out of a headstand. You fall back down the way you came, which isn't too scary because your feet are right there. Or what's scary for most people is the falling backwards part. If that's you, go ahead and make sure you have some really thick blankets or some pillows. Now, I wouldn't do like your bed pillows, because if you put them together and fall, they do have a tendency to separate. I would get the big couch cushions that you have, preferably the ones that you sit on. They're not going to separate as easily, and kind of stack them along. So if I'm doing my headstand this way and I'm kicking up, I want those pillows to be in that direction. So that way, if your fear is falling out of it, you already gave yourself a comfortable, safe space. Don't worry about it. If you're comfortable getting up, but you're not quite at the point where you can just free float there, go ahead and be near a wall, right? We're going to use the wall, but we're going to learn how to use the wall correctly with a headstand. A lot of times we overcompensate with the wall and we tend to arch our spine too much, which no longer leaves us stacked. Our abdominals are released, our glutes are released, and then all of a sudden we can get up to the wall, but then we never really seem to be able to get from the wall to your inversion. So, and then we're going to play around with those three parts of a balance. Now, the first part of any inversion is the safety component, right? First is proper warm-up. This 15-minute class is not going to be a warm-up. It's not the 1-hour class that we're going to play in to warm up our shoulders and engage our core and get our body ready to get up. So if you haven't done movement, you didn't come from maybe the gym or another yoga class, if you didn't take one of my other online classes, maybe pause this and go take, I've got 15-minute classes on core engagement and shoulder warm-up and shoulder mobility. Maybe play around with those first. Get your body warmed up because we want to be nice and safe. The second is how to safely fall out of any kind of inversion, okay? And they're all going to be different. A handstand is going to be very different how you fall out of than a headstand. A handstand, it's more of a cartwheel situation. You're going to twist your body and almost come out of it in a cartwheel. In a headstand, we don't have that mobility at our shoulders to fall from side to side, so we really only have two options. We have the way to come down the way we came up, which we'll play with that, or we fall backwards, okay? Now, falling backwards is a great, if you want to spend 15 minutes just playing with that, is a really, really good practice to have for any inversions. With a headstand, your head is already making contact with the floor. So when you fall out of it or feel like you're going to fall backwards, a lot of times what we do is we tighten up, we get panicked, and then we kind of become just like a tree stump and just straight back flop. It's really uncomfortable. You might knock the wind out of yourself. You may jar the neck, and it doesn't feel good, right? And then that just makes you more nervous to pop up again. If you feel like you're going backwards and you're not going to play with the wall today, think of a somersault when you're a kid. If you feel like you're going to fall out of it, tuck the chin and roll through that, right? You're going to kind of come up in a knees into your position. You're going to roll out of it. It's going to be way more comfortable than if you were to fall out of it, let's say, from a back flop. And we'll play with that as well. So to start, we're going to go over the 3 key parts of any balance. I'll then show you how to fall out of it forwards and backwards. And if that's something you want to play with, go for it. Then I'll show you how to play with the wall. Then I'll go ahead and just play with being upside down and stacking once we're there. So when it comes to a headstand, right, you do need some decent shoulder mobility, but it's nowhere near a forearm balance. A forearm balance is usually really difficult for people if they don't have the shoulder mobility. For headstands, the biggest thing is we want to protect the fingers and we want to protect the neck. So at any point, if someone, when you're in your headstand, whether it's your prep, you're about to get up, or you're actively up in your headstand, you should have the muscles on your neck nice and movable, right? If at any point you start to scrunch and you're uncomfortable, you have too much weight on the head, this is going to get really tight and you're not going to be able to move it. You want to be as if someone could go behind you at any point, touch your neck, and it would be comfortable, right? You want to keep that neck nice and relaxed. The way to do that is to push through the shoulders. Second, we want to protect the fingers. A lot of us, if we're not comfortable or haven't been practicing headstands for a while, what may feel the safest to you is to interlock those fingers. And that's not what we want to do for 2 reasons. One, once you get your weight upside down, this is a really unstable position. It's also going to put a lot of pressure on those knuckles, and you can eventually cause some stress fractures. So you're going to take a hand. For me, my right hand feels more comfortable on the inside, but play around. Yours might feel better with the left under. You'll kind of get an idea once you start to practice weight bearing, which one feels better for you. So I take my right hand, I tuck my thumb, curl my hands, and I leave a little bit of a pocket. And then I take my left hand over it and take my thumb over top. That little pocket, today I'm wearing a bun in kind of an interesting position because that's where I'm gonna hold my head. So having that little opening, I'm gonna put my little bun in there, and that's where I'm gonna hold my head. So you're gonna come down. For me, my right hand's gonna come and tie to my left hand. And I'm gonna tuck my head. I'm gonna make contact on the floor. It's kind of right at the top of my head where the hairline is. Okay. And I'm gonna get my elbows as much under my shoulders as I can for my mobility, and I'm gonna press, right? That's gonna get the weight out of that neck and out of those fingers. So this is me relaxed. I'm gonna push my elbows into the ground and squeeze these lat muscles so that I'm pressing through the ground. So step 1 is always have a strong base. If you've ever taken a balance class with me, we usually practice this in tree pose. You have that wide foot, our wide base. You have your strong rooted leg. We're gonna have our strong rooted arm. So your base is whatever's making contact with the floor. So step 1, strong base. Step 2 is you want to be able to stack your upper body and lower body and almost fuse it together, and that's by engaging the core girdle. So not just the front abdominals, but the obliques and the back. So the way I'm going to engage this is I'm going to push through, have a strong base. I'm going to step my knees back, and I'm going to, rather than having a dropped belly, I'm going to pull my belly button to the spine and pull my low ribs up. Get nice and tight in those abdominals, right? So now I have a strong base, step 1. Step 2, strong core. Step 3 is helping your body find middle. Now, when we're in tree pose, we do that by taking our thumbs together and kind of digging it into our breastbone so that we can tell our body where center is. You can't really do that in this position. So how you're going to do that in a headstand is you're going to squeeze your legs together, right? You're going to, depending on your anatomy, the inner thighs might touch, the knees will touch, some part of the foot will touch. Maybe it's your ankles, your heels, your toes, whatever works for your body there's going to be contact. If you have someone around you who can assist and you have a yoga block, you can totally, when you get up there, have them put a yoga block between your thighs, your knees, or your shins, so you can squeeze that and kind of feel that pressure, right? So step 1, strong base. Step 2, step 3, we're gonna slowly walk up. And the idea is we wanna get our hips as much over our shoulders as we can to kind of stack ourselves and make it a little bit easier, right? So we'll stack and bring legs up. Now, when we go to bring our legs up, we'll play around with this a little bit more and how to get up and down. There's a couple variations. Some people like to bring the knees in, almost like a crow pose, right? You bring your knees in, send them up. That requires a lot of back and core strength. Some people, if you're really flexible in the inner thighs, some people like to kick up kind of in a straddle. What I find to be the most helpful, especially for beginners that are kind of teetering with that counterbalance, is you lift one leg up and think of pushing your toes so hard you're trying to reach the ceiling. Eventually, the foot that's on the ground will come up with it, right? And then if you feel like you're gonna fall back forward, that top foot can kind of bend at the knee and kind of counterbalance you a little bit. So I'm gonna show you 2 different ways of just popping straight up, and then if you need to counterbalance, then I'm gonna show you how to fall out of it forward, how to come back down, or if you were falling back forward, and then we'll play with the falling backward, which is the scarier part. So how it's going to look, I'll do it this way first, is we're gonna have a strong base, step 1. Step 2, engage the core. Step 3, we gotta find middle, so stack the hips. I'm gonna reach my toe as high as I can. You'll notice this foot starts to come off. Pause, find your balance before you bring those legs up together. Once you're there, you're gonna squeeze the thighs, feet, knees, depending on what touches. Now, if you think you're gonna fall forward or you just wanna come out of it, you're gonna bring one foot down, touch with the toe. Then touch the other toe, bend the knees, come into a child's pose. Anytime you do an inversion, we want to hold a child's pose for ideally 3 breaths, or however long it takes for you to feel normal again, right? The longer you're in an inversion, the longer you may have to hold that child's pose. A lot of blood rushes to your head. Excuse me. Your body's not used to that. So we don't want to pop up right away, kind of get lightheaded, get dizzy, our body gets disoriented. It's just not very safe. So when you come down from an inversion, a good rule of thumb is hold some form of child pose for about 3 breaths. Again, you can go longer if your body feels like it's still kind of flush, you can feel the blood kind of disperse. Or if you were in an inversion for quite some time, you may just need more time because a lot of blood came to your head, right? So I'm gonna do that again from the side, and I'm gonna kind of show you how it would look if you needed to help counterbalance with that back foot. So we're gonna come together, strong base, strong core. Push those elbows into the floor, tighten the abdominals, come up onto the toes, walk the feet in until you stack those hips, lift a foot. Now, if I was having a hard time getting this foot up, I can bend this back knee, and it kind of helps counterbalance, right? And then when I'm ready, I can bring the legs up. Come down, child's pose. 3 or so breaths, depending on what feels good. Now, that's just the general how to get up, how to fall back forward. The scary part for most of us is falling out of it backwards. So how that's going to look is we're going to tuck the chin. I'm going to talk through it first, and then I'll do it because it's hard to do it slow and talk through it. So if I'm upside down, let's pretend my feet are over my head, and I feel like I'm going to go that way. I'm going to fall over to my back. A lot of times we just stay pressing. What you want to do is think of curling your chin. You're going to roll over your hands and kind of into a somersault situation. So how that'll look, and it's going to feel weird because your hands are going to be underneath your head. But I promise if you're going to fall, you're going to fall. So if we come up, say I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna tuck my chin, I'm gonna leave my foot here, see if I can slow it down for you guys. Tuck the chin, roll out of it. Nothing about that hurt, right? It was very slow, it felt scary, right? You're going into negative space, you can't see it, but everything was tucked, my hands flattened once I put pressure on them, and I rolled out of it very comfortably, very safely, and then I can come back up to my position. So to show that again, we're gonna pop up into our headstand. Say I don't feel comfortable, right? Oh no, I'm gonna fall. Tuck the chin. All good, okay? So maybe if you're not comfortable coming up into a full headstand, do something like I did. Come up against a couch or a chair and come into like a baby version of that headstand, okay? Have those pillows behind you. And what would be great is a situation where you have a couch and then you have a wall so that you can kind of stack those pillows up so they don't slide away from you. Or put a chair, just something so the pillows aren't sliding away if you're not on carpet. And just come up into a headstand. Your entire practice today, if your fear is falling backwards, come up, put your foot up on something, play with just tucking the head, and push your toes until you roll over. And just do it as many times as you want until you start to get that muscle memory and realize, I'm safe. I feel like if I did fall out of this, my body would know how to tuck and I'd be okay, okay? So if your fear is falling, just play around with falling out of it backwards, falling out of it forwards, backwards, forwards, until you start to feel comfortable. And then you can always come back to this video and come to whatever next step you're comfortable with. Now, if you're someone who you can get up, you feel comfortable with falling out of it possibly, you just can't seem to stack, right? You can get up, you immediately fall. We're gonna come to a wall. Now, the key here with a wall is a lot of times what we do is, let's pretend I'm upside down. The wall's behind us. We're here. We're not butted up against the wall, so we kind of are doing an arch situation. Because if our hands are here, we're arching to get to our feet. So what we're going to do is we're always going to have one foot stacked and just have a toe on the wall. So what that would look like, obviously, whatever you're doing, even if you're practicing falling, always practice at least step 1 and step 2. Strong base, strong core. Try and walk those hips over the shoulders. You're not going to really be able to find center and squeeze those legs together if you're practicing falling out. But if you're on the wall, you'll be able to. So, step 1, strong base. Step 2, tight core. Walk those hips over. Still practice getting up if you're doing a wall, pulling that toe. Pull it, pull it. Maybe you fall back. Adjust, bend that leg so the toes touch. Push your hips forward. Keep one leg straight. Keep pushing those elbows into the ground. Squeeze the abdominals. Pull those hip bones close to the low ribs. You can walk those legs together and play with touching. If you're far from the wall, you may not be able to touch the legs, right? Barely put a toe there. The problem is when we get upside down, we tend to do this when we use the wall. Our ribs break, right? And then we're not stacked, and then we can't figure out why we can't get back up. So, toe touch. Press the hips forward, squeeze the glutes, tighten the abdominals, pull those hips and those ribs together, all right? Eventually, you can keep that knee bent, but my toe is no longer touching the wall. Eventually, maybe the leg will straighten because you're just unbending the knee. When you're ready, always just drop one leg, drop the other, hold down for 3 to 5 breaths. So if you're someone who is just playing with learning how to stack, that's going to be your key for a headstand. If you're working on forearm balances, it'll be a similar, right, situation. You may not be able to get as close to the wall because you have your forearms out. If you're trying to do a handstand, this isn't going to work for you. Nothing from this class is going to work for you. The way you fall out of a handstand, how you're up against a wall with a handstand, drastically different, okay? So this is just for headstands, and it kind of can apply to forearm balances. Now, if you're the person who, I'm comfortable with my headstand, I just want to get more comfortable with being in it more frequently, maybe popping up into it and stacking faster or holding it longer, you can do the wall method. Feel yourself stack, see how quickly you can stack, and then push that toe off, and eventually come up. You have that security of knowing at any point you can always relax and draw back. But the key is once you're in your headstand, you really want to keep thinking of tightening the ribs, pulling those in the the hip bones and the low ribs together. A nice tight core. We want to take that arch out of the back, flatten the back out. You want to squeeze the glutes to help push the hips forward, and we're going to press through the elbows. So if you were somebody, because we're going to have our strong base, right? Push our elbows, strong core, stack those hips. If you were to come up, maybe you counterbalance. Once you're there, push into the elbows, squeeze the glutes. If you ever feel super comfortable, like, okay, I'm here, you're gonna wobble a little bit, get comfortable with that. You can start playing with different legs. Right? These sometimes are easier legs for people because you have that counterbalance component. Always push into those elbows, squeeze the abdominals. When you're ready, one leg, the other. And again, remember, the longer you're in an inversion, it'll maybe take a couple more than 3 breaths, right? Maybe roll the head side to side. Come to your seat. When you're playing with inversions, you never want to feel tight tension in the neck afterwards, okay? If you're putting too much weight on the top of the head, push through those elbows more, okay? We want to make sure you stretch the neck out. So we're going to roll those shoulders back, drop the left ear to the left shoulder. If you're done. If you're not done, keep playing with whatever practice you're practicing with today, whether it's falling out, using the wall, just stacking for longer. Tuck that chin. Bring it up. Exhale, do a light little twist. Nothing crazy. When it comes to a balance, obviously the 3-step trick is a helpful, quick little checklist to get up into whatever balance you're doing. Inversion, arm balance, standing balance, right? You need a strong base. Your body likes to know where center is, and you need a tight core. Eventually, you can get rid of that physically telling your body where center is. Your body will start to figure out where center is, because if you get into more advanced balances, sometimes there's more weight over here. So you got to learn how to kind of shift things. Your body will eventually figure that out. So you won't have to so consciously think of step 3, find center. You always need a strong base, and you always need to connect the core, because regardless if you're standing upright, you're inverted, or you're out kind of to the side, you need to make sure that the lower body and the upper body are fused, because if not, you're going to break. If you have no core, you have no balance, right? So be patient with yourself, be kind. Inversions and imbalances are a very personal track and journey. It took me forever. I swear I practiced handstands and headstands forever, could never get it. Had a yoga instructor show me the 3 steps of 3, strong base, strong core, getting stacked and finding center, and it was a game changer. I was able to pop up much more quickly. A lot of it has to do with confidence, feeling confident that your body's going to stack itself. It can support the weight upside down. It's weird to have all your weight on your arms when you were used to having it only on our feet. So be patient with yourself. Practice whichever thing you need to practice for as long as you want. Give yourself breaks. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the captions below, or the comments, I'm happy to answer them. Hope to see you guys next time. Have a great day.